And continuing BBC London's interviews with the mayoral candidates. Tonight it's the turn of the Liberal Democrat candidate Luisa Porritt, who joins me now. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
You've got quite a challenge here, haven't you? Because the Lib Dems have come fourth behind the Greens in the past two mayoral contests.
Well, a lot has changed since 2016. I mean, the Liberal Democrats won the European elections, the most recent example of an election that has a similar system to the one we'll be voting on in May. And we elected 3 MEPs and we won London then. That's how I became a member of the European Parliament. So I think the party's in a much stronger position than we were back in 2016. The political landscape has changed. We've got a lot more members and activists. And here in London, we run 3 councils. We've got MPs as well. So I think we're going into this with optimism.
OK, you say you're feeling optimistic. Brexit, obviously, a done deal. So let's talk about some of the policies in terms of the mayoral election. Housing is a big one. Just tell us what you're talking about. You say a London housing company.
Yes, so the London Housing Company would be a new player in London's housing market, set up to take direct control of what happens, because at the moment we've just had an affordability crisis in London that's been going on for far too long. We can't have more of the same. It hasn't worked. And so what the London Housing Company would do is make sure that we're delivering the affordable homes that Londoners need and taking charge of that process, including by converting some of the empty office space that's coming onto the market into quality affordable homes.
OK, let's just pick up on that, because many people would agree housing is a big issue. But which empty properties, and when you say take direct control, are you going to buy them? Are you going to persuade people that own them to become landlords?
Well, there's a range of opportunities in front of us. So the first task of the London Housing Company would be to scope out the size of the opportunity as a result of the new office space coming onto the market and to convert that into housing. It's been done in Rotterdam, so we can do it here too, and we should not miss out on that opportunity. Also, to look at the public land that's available and to directly build homes. We know that TfL's got land, the NHS.
OK, and just very briefly, that does require vast resources, but how many homes are we talking about?
Well, I think we've all had enough of meaningless targets that have been promised by successive mayors and never met. The point is that we've got a once-in-a-generational opportunity to finally tackle our housing crisis with all this empty space that's going to be available, so we can not only deliver the homes that we need, but also breathe new life into our areas, which will be badly needed. Let's
move on to something else that I know is a big issue for you. Post-pandemic environmental concerns, which a lot of people are worried about. Are you going to stop targeted charge on vehicles, because you say that you're going to scrap the congestion charge and the ULEZ and bring in a road pricing system?
So the system that we have at the moment isn't fair. We've got this complex web of schemes with the congestion charge, the ULEZ, that being expanded, the boundary charge potentially coming in under this mayor as well. And so what my fairer pay-as-you-go road pricing scheme would do is stop a situation whereby delivery drivers for supermarkets can make multiple journeys in the day, yet a resident going to visit a member of their family gets charged the same flat rate as them.
So are you saying this will affect every vehicle owner every time they drive, day or night, be it sort of school run or taking an elderly relative to hospital? Because will it not penalise some people in outer boroughs where public transport isn't as connected?
Well, those residents would be penalised if the boundary charge is introduced, because that would be a flat rate. So some Londoners would be disproportionately impacted just based on where they live. And of course, we would need to consult on this. There would need to be some exemptions for specific circumstances, people with disabilities, people who maybe need to travel for work. But it would be a much fairer system because it's charging based on the length of journey, type of vehicle, level of emissions produced.
OK. And in terms of London's recovery from COVID, it's such a big issue. It will require the next mayor to work very closely with government. How do you convince a Conservative government to give you the resources you need, very, very briefly, given that they've been talking about levelling up and moving resources away from London?
Well, I think this is a really important moment to reset the relationship between the Mayor and central government, because we've seen how fractious that relationship has been between the existing Mayor and the government over the negotiations over TfL's finances. And what I would be doing is proactively coming to them with a plan for our recovery. I've set that out as part of my campaign, and making the case for London, because we're an important part of the UK's recovery too.
Okay, a lot to talk about. For now, we have to leave it there. Louisa Porritt, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
And just to say, for the full list of all the candidates standing on the 6th of May, just head to the BBC London website at the address you can see coming up on your screen right now.